All right, everyone. So Rikishi reacted to Paul Heyman comforting CM Punk after, the cage match with Seth Rollins. And then, of course, Roman Reigns attacked. So here's what he said. That shit's about ready to pop off. Anytime you got, again, this is another one of the goats in the bloodline. We're talking about the original tribal chief. Did you not see the likes? Did you see all the ratings? That's what I look at. When I see anybody in my family come back on the tube, automatically I see cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. So for Roman to come back, did you guys think Roman was going to be a part of WrestleMania, the biggest show on earth? Come on now. I'm good to see Roman come back in here and choke the shit out of Seth Rollins and CM Punk. What he should have did, he should have checked Paul Heyman. What was Paul Heyman doing there crying? What the F was that? What the F was Paul Heyman crying for in the middle of the ring? You got the money that came back, which is Roman Reigns. That's your guy. You didn't get them damn suits because you got them suits now. All hail the tribal chief. I'm still getting paid on the side because of the tribal chief. Thank you, tribal chief. I'm tired of the MFers effing with the bloodline. Y'all kiss my ass. At the same time, when you mess with the bloodline, ain't about to be it. This is from friend to friend. I've known Paul Heyman for a long time. He's been at a lot of family members' gatherings and watched the tribal chief grow up. I hope to God that there ain't no funny business going on between you and CM Punk, because guess what? If you don't know, I'm about to let you know that there's plenty more bloodline members from where we come from. So there's something. So first of all, what a just series of comments there by Rikishi. I think he lays out. I don't know why Rikishi isn't on WWE TV again. I mean, that in itself was a pretty good promo. Okay, let's just call that what it is. But I almost don't want to say it because I feel like I'm giving away a spoiler. So even though there's no confirmation, this may definitely not happen. So if you don't even want a potential spoiler, okay, potential, then please click out of the video now. But go watch one of our other ones. But click out now because here is my thinking of what's going to happen. Okay, we know that CM Punk, right? Paul Heyman owes him a favor. That favor, we've been talking about it for a while. We haven't heard much about it lately, but we know it exists. We also know clearly Paul Heyman has some type of relationship with CM Punk. Okay, we know that from the past, right? We get it. That's another thing we know. The third thing that I find super, super interesting is, well, when we go back to the initial time when this favor was initially put together, Roman Reigns asks, "What is the favor?" And Paul Heyman says, "We'll worry about that when the time comes." And why that to me is super, super important is because to me, the only way that's what Paul Heyman would say is if it had something to do with Paul Heyman. That's just my take, right? So it could have certainly have been like a title shot or something like that, but there's no real title involved with this. So what is it? What could it possibly be? To me, and I said this at the time, you can go back and watch our videos at that time. I felt in that moment that what they were hinting at was 110% Paul Heyman becoming the manager of CM Punk, the wise man turning his back on Roman Reigns. I'm just once again, I hope we warned you enough about a potential spoiler because if that happens, I'm going to be shocked and happy, but I wouldn't want to ruin it for anyone else. I have no inside source on that, just speculating. And I think it would make a lot of sense. I really do. I love the combo of Roman and Paul Heyman, but if you're talking about, building some epic, epic storyline, can you imagine that kind of heel turn by Paul Heyman in that instance? Well, actually, I don't even know. Would it be a heel turn? That's the question. Like, would it even be a heel turn? I don't even know. Right. So, man, I we'll have to wait and see. But I think there's a lot of potential for it. And we did a video right after Raw, and we said, "Did you notice his face?" Okay, Paul Heyman is not going to be out there doing something for no reason. Okay, he's not going to be out there looking the way he did at CM Punk and helping him, and then when Roman Reigns was beating him up, him just being in the corner. Would never have done that. Would never have done that, I don't think, if there wasn't something to build. Paul Heyman would get that. So thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next time. All right, everyone. So Vince Russo responded to Ric Flair after Ric Flair took a shot at him, and he said, "Bro, Ric Flair is a little crazy. He's a little crazy, bro. I'll never forget, Chris. I had an opportunity. I had a tryout show on a Denver radio station. They were going to give me a gig, and I had to get some really big guests to show that I can get big hitters on my show. First guy I call is Mick Foley because I know Mick would do it. Mick was a no brainer. Mick would be a great guest. Bro, I call Flair. I say, Rick, can you do me a favor? He was more than happy to do it. gave me the number, gave me his contact, was there, spent all the time in the world. It was great. And then I thanked him up and down, up and down, and up and down. And the next chapter was Vince Russo and Eric Bischoff that killed WCW. Bro, you are a wacko. You are absolutely crazy. So honestly, I'm reading this post and I'm like, honestly, I've got no idea what you were talking about. I really don't. So I don't actually remember when Vince Russo said he was done with watching WWE, but clearly he's still, going after here. Ric Flair. Now, to be fair, Ric Flair also took a shot at him, so you get, he has every right to respond to that. Although I feel like even Vince Russo said something prior to that, so I don't know. At the end of the day, you get two guys that are going at each other now. Although he's like seemingly doesn't actually know. He's saying like, "Hey, we had a good relationship, and then out of nowhere, we had a bad relationship." Don't know exactly what that meant. But put in the comments section below what you think about this. I just figured we'll bring you what Vince Russo said because we brought you what Ric Flair said. I don't have much else to say in this situation. I thought it was a pretty funny one. You have Ric Flair going at him initially, now Vince Russo going at him. We'll see if this continues with Ric Flair coming back again and saying something else. So thank you all for watching. Put in the comments section about what you think below. All right, everyone. Sean Ross Sapp during Fightful Select's Q&A session said this about Travis Scott's future with WWE. They're not going to pull the plug on having him involved. He's done a little training and is expected to do more. They have tentative plans for him to be involved here and there. They've been working on this stuff for quite a while. So, I got to say, there's two types of celebrities that could be a part of WWE. One type is the type that I would say Travis Scott is, which is someone who's really in love with what's going on in WWE, really bought into wrestling and understands the product in some way, right? Like he gets it, even if he's not fully, he's still being trained in all of that, but you could tell by his reactions after and all that, he really loves, wrestling right now. Then there's the other type, which it's like you could tell they're just there because they have something to sell. So I have no problem, because I know a lot of people get upset about celebrities in wrestling. I have no problem with Travis Scott being a part of it because I think he goes into that first category. If there's a celebrity who's actually bought in and loves it, I think that's a no-brainer to have them involved. Like, this was part of the problem when you had the Raw general managers, right? You had some of these general managers, they actually didn't care about wrestling in any way, shape, or form. They were just there for the headline, and it reflects. Travis Scott, I think, cares. And I do think he adds a little bit to this Cena Rock faction, right? If we're starting this faction of kind of big time people, well, Travis Scott, in the rapper world, right? He is one of the best by far, right? In the music industry, he's one of the best. So he adds a ton to this. I think he adds a lot of status to it. So you have The Rock, you have all of these kind of big members of their industry, right? People that are way famous, way more famous than just the wrestling business itself, right? Like, there's a lot of wrestlers who are famous. Then you have people like Travis Scott, you have people like The Rock, you have people like John Cena who take it to a whole another level. And so I think this is all fantastic, I got to say. So thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next time. All right, everyone. So Chelsea Green is pitching a pretty crazy match for WrestleMania. The outcome is obviously going to be I win and continue to be the greatest ever, longest reigning women's United States champion. But I think I've put a lot of thought into this in the past couple of weeks. We're on the road to WrestleMania this month. I'm thinking my ideal match would be myself versus Nikki Bella in a hair versus hair match. That part is crazy. That part is a dream. The hair versus hair match, that's one dream. But me versus Nikki Bella, I love Nikki. I grew up watching Nikki. She came back at the Royal Rumble. I think this could be the perfect time for her to really sink her teeth into a feud and have a singles match. So a hair versus hair match between two women's wrestlers, that reminds me of, like, Attitude Era WWE or Ruthless Aggression Era WWE. I would be stunned if we had that happen at WrestleMania at any point. Now, I don't know if this is building to some feud and maybe they don't actually get the hair versus hair match and it's just the regular, I get it, right? It could definitely be that. But I thought this was pretty crazy, right? Just this whole, like, the fact that I would love to see her versus Nikki Bella. I don't even know. Put in the comments, would you even want to see a hair versus hair match? I mean, I guess maybe if they, cut like just like maybe you just cut a little bit, but I mean, we've seen some of those, hair versus hair matches we've seen in the past. We saw Vince get his head shaved and a bunch of others get their head shaved. I don't think anybody wants that in this case. But Chelsea Green, she's one of a kind. She's a great champ, and I think she's doing a good job. Really, I mean, it's one of those things where for the mid card titles to matter, you really, we always talk about those main event titles, but making those mid card titles matter is such a tough job. And Chelsea Green's doing a great job of it. When the audience is so bought in to a feud that is regarding, one of the mid tier titles, that's phenomenal, right? That's the whole entire point, is to get big names holding those so they matter. And I think WWE has done a good job with that, especially in Chelsea Green's case. All right, everyone. So, a potential future member of the Bloodline, Zilla Fatu, talked about his WWE debut. Whenever, if that happens, right? Potential future debut. Here's what he said. All I say is when that time comes, it's going to be very big and it's going to be very impactful for my family, for my mom, my brothers, my dad. And I can't wait because it's going to be very, very special. We're going to make history when I debut. Best believe that. What I could add to the main roster is just being raw, being uncut, not talking through filters, just being real. And I feel like when you're real, the product is going to be more authentic. When that happens, when you touch people's emotions, that's where you take the story to a whole nother level. It's not even about wrestling. It's not about none of that. It's about the story. So if I could do that and go out there and execute every time, it's going to be dangerous for a lot of people. So I just can't wait. Hey, I'm all for it, right? I mean, the Bloodline storyline, I think, is kind of, it's in a weird spot, even though Roman Reigns kind of is back as the tribal chief, and even though you still have, Jacob Fatu and Solo Sequoia and Tama Tonga hanging out, and I know the other one's hurt, right? So you have injuries that they could all, that version of the Bloodline could be back again. It's still not, it's kind of a dead thing at this point. Now, it doesn't mean it hasn't done wonders, right? It's done wonders for everybody involved. Jacob Fatu is now on his way of being a star. Solo, he took a big jump up. Roman Reigns is as hot as he's ever been. And I do think it's kind of weird because you went from having, that be the best storyline in the business to seemingly there was a lot left in the bone, right? You felt like you could have done more, but the fact that The Rock is feuding with Cody and has taken John Cena as part of this heel turn, it's kind of, that was the next thing, right? That was the next lifeline with it, was The Rock going against everybody else. But Zilla Fatu, whenever he does come back, or whenever he does debut, I should say, I think this could be big, right? This could be a part of starting that Bloodline storyline up again. And, you always wonder, when are they going to get it back going, because it was such a hot storyline and then there are so many stories still to tell with it. But I think they wanted to really focus on this because obviously this was John Cena's farewell tour. So you can't do this again, right? This is the only time you're going to be able to do it. So thank you all for watching and we'll see you next time. All right, everyone. So we're reading from ewrestlingnews.com. Steve Austin said this about when he asked if he'd give advice to Cena about his heel turn. No, I wouldn't give advice. I loved working heel when I was in WCW. I loved working heel when I first came into WWE, but that was a true heel. When I turned heel at WrestleMania 17, the people didn't want me to turn heel. It was a forced turn. It was my idea. Vince always likes to do something big on a WrestleMania. He didn't do anything big, so I suggested that and he said okay, but it was a shit move. People weren't ready for it. People didn't want it. I liked working heel. I just figured it would go over like gangbusters. So the heel I was trying to be was, and trying to be so hated so much so fast, I think I tried too hard. When I look back at it, for sure, I got to push the creative envelope and do a lot of things that were cool or whatever, and push the envelope in a different direction and go on a limb. But people didn't want me to turn heel, and so I should have never done that. So I don't think I'm in a position where I need to offer John Cena any advice from Steve Austin. So I have to say, this is a little bit interesting, right? Because he's talking about this idea of, I don't know if it was the right decision for me to go heel. And he's kind of, mentioning that in the realm of John Cena. Now, is that the truth, right? Is this something that they should have done for Cena, right? Should he have done the heel turn? I'm still of the belief that it was a pretty good idea just because it was so shocking, and I think it's going to help Cody Rhodes, and I think it's going to be such a great WrestleMania moment regardless of what happened. But, you wonder how many fans were happy that he did. Like for me, I'm just here to watch the craziest. I just want crazy stuff to happen all the time. I love it. I love making videos about it, talking about it. But for your average fan, when you have John Cena come out and there's the, you know, "Let's go Cena, Cena sucks" chants, and then, you see the kids in the crowd that have the John Cena shirts on, like, that probably hit them pretty hard, so you wonder if long term, Cena will think this was as good of an idea as it seemingly is short term, and I'm not suggesting that it was a bad decision. I've loved it. I've been only praiseworthy on it because I think when, I think people don't quite, you know, uh, they don't properly keep in mind, right? When Triple H, and I know we're a ways away from when Vince was even in charge, but I think they're not factoring in when you're talking about Vince McMahon, right? And how long he was in control of the business, right? The fact that he was the head guy when, I know obviously his father owned it before, but the WWE that we know, right? He was the guy from the beginning. And when Vince is no longer there, even if people don't like him, there's still going to be a little concern of, well, what's going to happen with the product, And so when you have Triple H take it over and be able to deliver as he has, it's really helpful. And this was just another example of that, right? Having the balls to allow for this heel turn to take place on John Cena's farewell tour, nonetheless, it's something that gives you that, okay, the wrestling business is in good hands. The WWE that we know and love is in good hands. So thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next time. All right, everyone. So Jake the Snake Roberts on his podcast, he talked about Cody Rhodes using the F bomb in response to The Rock, right? This was right before the heel turn of John Cena. Here's what he said. There's no need for it. No, I don't think so. I mean, he could have said drop dead or anything, I mean, the big thing is he's saying no, that's the big thing. On whether he could have used the middle finger, he could have flipped him off, right? But for your kids that are watching, go F yourself is kind of strong. So this has been, I will say, a little bit of a weirder thing in my personal opinion. Okay, we've seen multiple times now. We've seen multiple times now. Legends talking about him using that F bomb and not liking it. And I just have to defend my man, Cody Rhodes. I've said many times, okay, I've said many times that I 100% agree with the people that were saying to be edgy is not the way to do it, and I think after the Attitude Era, if you remember after the Attitude Era, you have, WWE beginning to hit even after they beat WCW, you still, people think of the Attitude Era as the peak, but really the peak continues definitely into the early 2000s, but then it starts to kind of fall a little bit. And during that fall, what are you seeing? Well, you're seeing WWE trying to recreate the Attitude Era, and they're just being edgy to be edgy. They're just being edgy to be edgy, right? They're not actually doing it for any reason. And in that case, I agree. In some ways, that was what led to the PG era because WWE realized, oh, we're doing this way wrong, right? This is stupid. We're just doing things. This is not good product, right? This is just being edgy to be edgy. But there is also, like during the Attitude Era, when most of the time they were hitting the ball out of the park and they were being edgy, not in this weird way, but in the right way. And I think in this moment, when Cody Rhodes said what he said, it landed to me. It wasn't just, let me, I think this is what we need a little bit more of from Cody Rhodes' character because Cody, I think, is a little bit, and I said this with his feud with Kevin Owens too. I thought the beauty of the feud with Kevin Owens was Kevin Owens and him, you felt like it was another version of Cody Rhodes. Like Cody Rhodes just hated this dude. And you saw it play out in the match. And that was an awesome Cody Rhodes. I felt the same about this, right? Because I don't want the Cody Rhodes that is just a perfect guy, and I don't want him to be a heel. He doesn't have to be like a Steve Austin either, right? He doesn't have to be someone who's not a babyface or a heel and is just kind of kicking everybody's butt, but a little bit of like, just show a little bit of not being perfect. We don't want the perfect guy. We want, okay, a little bit of flaw here, right? He drops an F bomb here. I thought it landed really, really well. So I don't know. This is kind of a weird thing. A lot of legends are just not happy with him dropping it. And usually I'd be like, hey, if he just said it to set it, that's stupid. But I think it actually landed in this case. I think it was the right decision. I thought it actually felt like it really, like if he just said, hell no, maybe that would have worked, but I just don't think it would have worked on the same level that his response did. And then to kind of have that emotions, right? Where you see John Cena celebrating, the fans are going crazy, then the Cena heel turn, it all was just set up so well. So thank you all for watching. All right, everyone, we got another Legends deal signed. This time it's from someone who's about to be into the Hall of Fame. That is Typhoon. So here is what he said. There's so many people that are making action figures outside. You got the Hasbro that's up toward here, but there's so many. There's a new two brothers that Adam Bomb just had a new figure out. I forgot what they're called because I had talked to them. They did call me on the phone about some stuff and everything. And I'm under a Legends deal, and I'm kind of funny that way. So he's on a Legends deal. And look, I love this by WWE. Continue to get these guys signed to these Legends deals because we want to be able to see, um, as many, whether it's the wrestling figures or putting them in games. I don't even know what the Legends deals, like how far they extend, but all of that, you're talking about documentaries and all these other things and having them merchandise, right? Having them as part of the Legends deal just makes it a lot easier. And it also helps these guys get paid even all these years later because you think about it, the wrestlers now, and this, by the way, is the same with all professional sports too, right? Where the wrestlers now, they're making a good amount of money. And in a lot of cases, they're actually working less days, right? So the situation they're in is way better than it was in the past. These guys were getting paid less and they were also working more. And so these are the people that really paved the way, right? They really built the WWE into what it is today. And I think it's great that if you sign these Legends deals, money is probably coming their way in some form, and they're actually still cashing in on, they're still getting some of the money that they weren't able to get back then because the company was nowhere near as big as it is now, but they're getting it even to this day, and especially in a business like wrestling where, I mean, if you watch Dark Side of the Ring, it will really change, I think, your mind a little bit on, oh my God, like there is some of these guys, they gave it all to wrestling and it just did not work out for them in the end. You had these tragic stories. And so you just anytime you see one of these older wrestlers who, hey, he could get some money, he could get something for what he did still to this day. Because look, Typhoon, Earthquake, he's another Earthquake, John Tenta Jr., he was another one just phenomenal. When you think of that era, their names come up. Um, and I think actually I have somewhere around here the small Hasbro figures that they made of Typhoon and Earthquake. I think I got them somewhere down here, but they're super cool. And it's just amazing. I hope more of these Legends deals are signed because get these people the money they deserve, in a lot of ways. And once again, it's not that I'm sure a lot of people may put in the comments, well, they weren't paid enough and this and that. And to be fair, I don't know the exact metrics on all of that, but I do know that the company was nowhere near as big as it is now. I do know that. So it wasn't like, as you may hate Vince, and right now we'll see what's going on with all these court cases and everything like that and the lawsuits and everything. But at the end of the day, there was no way the WWE could pay the wrestlers what they're paying them, the money they're paying them today, including kind of all the time off. Right? It's just my maybe uninformed opinion on it, but probably you're not going to be able to do that. So the fact that now the company these people helped built, they could still get that money, I think is absolutely phenomenal. So thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next time.